Hey guys, this is Coach Alyssa from Isabella Fitness, and I'm going to be taking you through some mobility and stretching to open up our hips today. All right, so the first thing I'm going to have us do is come down to your mat. All right, if we're ever feeling a little bit of tight in our hips, this is going to help us get into a better squat position when we're squatting. All right, so first thing I'm going to have us do is we're going to go into a pigeon stretch. So for our pigeon stretch, we're going to do one leg at a time. All right, you're going to bring one leg back. One leg is going to straighten out. All right, the other leg is going to come up underneath you. So right now I've just got my other leg in the back here right in front of me. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring that foot through. All right, almost creating this kind of V here between our foot coming up to our knee and then to our hip. The other leg is nice and long, and we're just going to rest that one down and kind of sit into this stretch. All right, so hands are out in front of us, nice and long. We're going to sit into this stretch. A couple things with the pigeon stretch. We do not want to lean into that glute and that hip. We want to stay right on top of our foot and let that stretch happen here. All right, we're gonna breathe, stretch. You're gonna probably feel it nice and intense right in the corner in that hip crease, right here a little bit as well. And if you're not feeling it enough here, you can bring your elbows down to the floor. All right, we can hold here down at the floor. You can bring your head down and relax. Bring your head through, get a little bit of a deeper stretch here. We're just gonna hold this for about a minute. Now with this pigeon stretch, it doesn't matter how far through you can bring this foot. Your foot may only be underneath you like this, maybe directly under the rest of your leg. But if we can bring this foot through, this is a comfortable position for me that also allows me to stretch. Other people may have their foot up higher if you're a little bit more flexible. All right, so sit in here for another 30 seconds. Feeling out that stretch a little bit. And then we're gonna head on to the other side. Good, now we're going to switch to the other leg. All right, so I can bring this one back through. Start in this tabletop position. All right, and from here, now the opposite leg is gonna go nice and long. This leg is gonna come through underneath, making that V position again with our legs. And then from here, we're just gonna sit into that stretch. Leg goes nice and long. Right, and again, however far up your foot goes here, whether it comes high, closer to your hands, or if it stays more underneath that leg, that's okay. One leg might feel a little bit more flexible than the other. Feel a little bit stretch here in our hip. And then again, if you want to make this a little bit more intense, or if you don't feel like you're feeling this one enough here, you can come down to your forearms. Feel a little bit of a bigger stretch here. We're gonna stay here for about another 40 seconds, get in a good stretch, and then we will switch to our next hip opener stretch. the next stretch that we're gonna do is a lunge stretch. So we can come back to our tabletop position. All right, we're gonna keep our hands down here. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna bring one foot forward next to our hand in the front here. We're gonna bring it to the outside. All right, so you're gonna bring your foot up here, right? We're gonna go into a little bit of a lunge stretch here. So my knee is gonna be over my ankle here, foot out in front. Should have a little bit of an angle here with my hip, but not so much that we're overstretching or not too close that we're not feeling it here. All right, we're gonna put our hands down. And then we're actually gonna push this back, this elbow that's next to our leg, into that leg, get a little bit of a bigger stretch here. We should be feeling it all nice and opening up here. All right, so we're pushing into that leg, and then if you can and you feel able to, you can bring this back leg up and we can straighten it out. All right, you can stay here, you can come back to knee down, just feel into this stretch. The goal of this is just to open up our hips a little bit, so you can go from this position to bringing that knee back up, whatever is more comfortable. We'll stay here for another 30 seconds, just pushing into this side, and then we'll move to the other side. Let's bring that foot back. Now we're going to come to the other side. So now this leg is going to come forward. All right, I'm going to stack up my knee over my ankle again here in the front. A little bit of an angle here with my back leg. Hands are down in front and on the inside of my leg, and I'm going to push out with this left arm into that left foot. All right, and then again, if we feel comfortable, that back leg can come up. We can go from this position down, get a nice big stretch here, move side to side. For a lot of stretching, I feel it's best to not only just hold a certain position, but to move around in each one. Right, so you can come in and out of that stretch, which can really help move some things around. Stretch. I'm going to come and face the camera now because we're going to take a seat. All right, we're going to do one of my favorite stretches, which is the butterfly stretch. All right, so this one is probably one of the best ones you can do to open up your hips a little bit. All right, so we're going to bring our feet into this butterfly position. Feet are just touching each other here in the front. All right, and your feet may be closer, they may be further away, depending on just our flexibility. Here, and our hips may be a little bit higher, they may be a little bit lower, that's okay. All right, just doing what we can here. I like to keep my feet in nice and tight. All right, and from here, we should feel a nice stretch already. There's a couple of different options of what we can do. We can flutter our butterfly wings here. Might sound a little bit funny, but it works and it helps us get in and out of that stretch, especially if you're not necessarily feeling it as much here. Pressing down can help us feel that stretch a little bit more. So, say you want to feel it a little bit more intensely. If you're comfortable here, you can stay here. If you want to feel it a little bit more, you can bring your elbows out if you're holding onto your ankles here, and you can press down onto the side, pressing down out on our thighs, our knees here, pressing down and feeling a little bit more of an intense stretch the closer our knees get to the floor. And as well as that, you can also bring the legs out a little bit more and feel another stretch just bringing our hips through and our head forward, and just letting our head hang here in this stretch. Done that stretch, we're going to go into a new stretch here. All right, so what I'm going to have us do is you guys are going to come back up to tabletop on our yoga mat or on our floor or a blanket, anything that you guys have at home to lay on. If we have carpet, that's fine as well. All right, what we're going to do here is we're going to widen up a little bit here. So we're going to create a V here with our hips and our legs. All right, and this one can feel pretty intense. All right, so this is a very small motion, but we're going to feel it very intensely. You're going to bring the hands back, and we are just going to feel a big stretch here, kind of on the inside, top of our quads a little bit. We're going to be in this wide formation with our legs, and we're just going to sit back. If you're flexible enough, you may be able to go down further towards the ground. I'm going to stay right where I am right here for now. And just leaning back and feeling a good stretch all here and in the hips a little bit. If you want to be a little bit wider, you'll probably feel it even more here in our hip crease. And again, with this one, you can come up and then sit back, kind of in and out of this stretch. Move our legs a little bit. Come deeper, come back up. This is definitely one of the more intense ones. So if you need to take a second, come out of the stretch and come back in, you can. And we're just going to hold here for another 30 seconds. Good, you guys can come up. We're gonna bring our legs out wide now. All right, so this is another tough stretch, just depending on your flexibility. All right, you're gonna bring your legs out wide. All right. Some people may have them closer, some may have them further apart. It's really gonna depend on where our flexibility is. All right, but what we're going to do in this position is we're gonna lean forward and feel a nice big stretch here. Now you wanna feel a stretch, you don't wanna feel pain, so make sure that we're deciphering the difference between those two, only coming forward as feels comfortable, but making sure that we're feeling a challenge here, feeling that stretch. All right, so we're gonna lean forward, bring our hands forward. You can continue to bring them forward if you can. You can bring your head down and kind of rest here. I'm feeling it intensely in this position, so I'm gonna stay up a little bit higher. And you can flex your feet a little bit, feel it more intensely down the back here. Just opening up our hips a little bit. We'll stay here for another 10 seconds and then we're gonna go from one side to the next. You can go to the right side first. So bringing our hands now over to this leg, leaning into it. And bring our arms to the other side. Really feel that stretch. And then take a second. All right, so we did a really great stretch here. Now we're gonna move into one that is probably one of the best ones that you can do, especially if you're warming up your hips to do some squats, is actually get into more of a squat position. All right, so what we're gonna do is kind of a frog stretch. All right, so you're gonna come up onto your toes here, knees tracking out wide. All right, this one's a little bit more complex. All right, one at a time, we're gonna bring our heel down and turn. So the foot that we're bringing our heel down to, we're gonna turn and we're gonna press out with our elbow now into that leg. So we're stretching out this side. All right, and then this is a movable stretch, so then we move into the other side. So you're really stretching out each side one at a time, moving from side to side. And you can move as quickly or as slowly as you'd like. All right, so I'm just gonna slowly turn from one side to the next. This is a great one to really open up a little bit, get ready for some squats. I'm gonna have us stay here another 90 seconds, really just drill into the stretch. Remember, this heel may come up a little bit, that's okay, because we're working on this leg that we have flattened out that foot. And if one feels really tight, you can really spend time just here on one and stretch into it. Good, we're gonna do this another 20 seconds and then we're gonna move into just a nice little squat hold stretch. And that will finish up our hip opening stretches today. A little bit of hip mobility. Really work on being able to open up and get nice and wide. Good. All right, if you want to come up for a second, you can. Come up, shake out the legs a little bit. I know we've been working on opening up a lot. So we're going to have us come down one more time. Down into a squat, knees out, right? Chest nice and high. And then instead of moving back and forth like our frog, we can bring our toes out nice and wide. Right, and we're gonna just try to sit here. Now if your chest comes forward, that's okay. Try to keep the chest up as much as you can. Just by keeping your eyes up and looking straight forward, you'll be able to do that, help to flatten out our back a little bit. But don't worry about that too much. We are supposed to sit low into this stretch and feel a nice stretch down at the bottom, really opening up our hips here. And you can kind of be in and out of the stretch here. This helps me a little bit, coming in and out of it a little bit. All right, and I know this one right at the end here might feel a little bit intense. We're only gonna hold this for another 15 seconds. And good, you guys can come up and we are all set. All right, thank you so much for joining me and I will see you in the next one.